Observe the modern rhythm of ambition. We're taught that success is a product of speed, a relentless sprint to capture the next promotion, the next connection, or the next moment of validation before it slips away. But there is a structural flaw in the chase. The harder you run after a target, the more power you can see to it. Desperation is a signal that cannot be hidden. Once a person or an organization realizes you need them more than they need you, the balance of control shifts entirely into their hands. This data illustrates the economic cost of overpursuit. As you see, when your availability and efforts to explain yourself rise, the market value of your attention drops. You are effectively flooding the market with your own presence, making it cheap and easy to ignore. If the traditional hustle only serves to weaken your position, we have to look for a different mechanism, one that doesn't rely on running, but on forcing the world to come to you. Power is not found at the end of a race. It is found in the ability to remain still. It is the consequence of building a position so structurally sound that you can walk away from any deal without your hands shaking. Constructing that position requires a total withdrawal from the noise. You have to move the focus from external capture to internal development, refining your value in the quiet repetitions where no one is watching to applaud. This starts with mastering emotional scarcity. It isn't about becoming cold. It's about the discipline to feel an impulse without allowing that impulse to dictate your next move. When you withhold your immediate reactions, you remove the handles others use to pull you. If your anger cannot be easily summoned and your approval cannot be easily bought, you become a difficult target to read and an impossible one to manipulate. This internal control allows you to convert raw, frantic desire into repetitive discipline. You stop letting your hunger make you impatient, and instead you use that hunger to fuel the routine that builds your actual worth. Every time you face a rejection, the disciplined response is to treat it as a data point rather than a defeat. You don't chase harder to compensate. You return to your training, using the silence to identify where your value needs to be strengthened. True psychological weight is built through this private evidence. When you have watched yourself survive boredom and temptation without breaking your own rules, your self-respect becomes a fact, making the validation of others irrelevant. Once you are no longer ruled by your impulses, you can employ strategic patience. This is the understanding that rapid movement is often a mask for panic, while the most decisive actions are usually the most deliberate. While others rush to secure temporary promises, you use waiting as a form of active preparation. You gather information, sharpen your skills, and let the situation mature until the most favorable path reveals itself. Leverage is the practical application of this patience. As this diagram shows, if your survival is tethered to a single source of income or a single person's approval, you are trapped. You cannot negotiate because you cannot leave. But when you are tethered by multiple options, your posture changes. True authority comes from the certainty that no single closed door can stop your momentum. This structural independence leads to what we call ruthless connection. When you no longer need people for survival, you can finally see relationships for what they actually are, strategic transactions of value. You learn to manage your alliances with precision, providing calculated doses of loyalty or admiration, while keeping your core strategies and ultimate intentions locked behind a layer of silence. By becoming the standard that others must rise to meet, you stop seeking entry into other people's rooms. You manufacture your own gravity, forcing the world to compete for a place in yours. Even with this power, a lingering instinct often pulls men back toward the chase. This is the inner slave, the inherited habit of playing small and seeking permission that has been passed down through generations of families that prioritize survival over dominance. To establish a true legacy, you must actively dismantle that inherited blueprint. You are not here to repeat the safe choices of your ancestors. You are here to build a reality that gives your name a new level of weight and authority. The ultimate measure of this transformation is the effect of your absence. When you deliberately withdraw from spaces where you are merely tolerated,
You create a vacuum that forces others to recognize the value you were providing. This strategic silence is more revealing than any argument.
It forces the world to confront the reality of what happens when your competence and stability are no longer available for free. At this level, your reputation dictates the behavior of the room before you even enter it. You have built a system so robust that it maintains your standards even when you are physically gone. The chaotic world from Act 1 hasn't changed. People are still rushing, still chasing, still desperate. But you have become the immovable center of that noise. You have moved beyond the need to hunt for a better life. By constructing your own source of gravity, you ensure that the life you want has no choice but to find you. I attract through power, not pursuit.